looking for the seconds to start tallying, guys. Good morning, good morning. I need to see if we're live here. Can you see me? Can you hear me? I see the seconds ticking. I'm seeing that we're live. Good morning, good morning. Here we go. Let me silence that, guys, so maybe I can see your comments this time. We're still trying so many different things to figure out how to do all the things electronic, live, the right way, whatever you want to call it. I missed you all so much last Thursday. I'm sorry I had to tap out at the last minute. I had the right t-shirt. I had my mom helping me cut it literally like an hour before we were supposed to go live. And we did so many family things that day. It was like I could not even think about going live. I even thought about having Abby drive well, she did drive, but I probably needed to help her because it was her first time driving on like a freeway, throughway, super busy um, highway with a lot of people in the car. And I thought, well, I'll just have her drive and then I can do the thingamajigger, online. I had printed this off before I went on our trip and I did not bring it with me, but I brought my t-shirt. Had my mom help me cut it, so I was like looking right at the time. I could show you, like, this is what happens when you cut your t-shirt. We do have that download with all the steps of how to cut it. She cut the sleeves for me. She cut the collar for me. I tried it on. We cut it a little more. We cut the hem off the bottom. So now that's like rolling up a little bit in the cutest way. And I wore it all day long and I loved it all day long. And it might be one of my favorite ways to wear a t-shirt, especially because it's so hot for the summer and it's just an easy summer look, but it's still such a cute t-shirt. You can wear it with jeans or your comfy things and still call it done. So I got my first t-shirt cut. I wanted to do 5 more after that, but we just didn't have time. So long story short, I missed you all. We missed the whole Superman devotional for that month, and so now we're back. We're home. We're here. We're getting settled. I got to wear my shirt again. Get to show you all what it looks like in person. So if you want this look, you can have the download, the video. My parents even did a video for me. My dad was holding the camera and my mom was explaining. She wanted us to do a voiceover, but I was like, no, like it's perfect the way she did. She just hates her voice on camera. I think everybody does. I don't know. And she wanted us to voice over the whole thing and just do the cutting and everything. But she was showing us how to cut one of our Consider the Fields t-shirts. It's the Show Love t-shirt. So if you ever want to do the video version, it's a 2-minute video, and that's also accessible in the free download. You just have to sign up for it, and we send it right to your inbox and have it in a pop-up and stuff. So you can learn how to cut your t-shirts. I am hoping and praying for someday to go live. I think this is now the 3rd time I've told you. We're gonna do a whole thing where mom and I are cutting them together and you can see it in person and do it with us if you have a t-shirt. And every time it's like something happens or time is so precious and we just can't do it. And so anyways, I am trying and trying and trying. But it is what it is, and I can't make it happen. But today is the day we're going over Superman is Adopted. This might be a little heavy, so I apologize in advance. Good morning to you, Mackenzie. I hope you're having the most peaceful morning. And I see your yellow heart because I'm wearing my yellow shirt. And I hope today is just super peaceful for you. So when I say heavy, I did want to talk about some trauma and triggers, and I didn't know how far we would go, but I want to start with the devotional because this was one of my favorite devotionals I wrote. If you ever look on YouTube, there is a 4-minute old school before Marvel or like Marvel in the 80s clip of Superman. How he landed on this planet and how the Kents came to pick him up. So this is where I'm coming from. If you ever want to Google it, look on YouTube, watch the little video, this is where this came from. Have you ever, well, let's do the verse first, sorry. Matthew 25:40, it says, "And the king will answer and say to them, Assuredly I say to you, inasmuch as you did it to one of the least of these, my brethren, you did it to me." Have you ever watched the YouTube clip of the cartoon where Superman was adopted? It's a 4-minute blast from the past where the Kent couple was just driving down the road one day and a space shuttle drone landed in front of them. Mrs. Kent knows just the right button to push to release the capsule, and there inside is a baby. She immediately takes him up in her arms and tells her husband that he needs them to take care of him and starts dreaming up names. Mr. Kent has a few concerns, wondering if the baby is a Russian spy or a military trick, but Mrs. Kent is adamant. So Mr. Kent finally softens and off they go to raise the child. Anyone who has seen a real depiction of today's adoption knows that this is not exactly accurate, but I couldn't help but think how many similarities there are. Now, the Kents never referenced any scriptures in their conversation, nor did they reference any verses to back up their actions as they took in that child. But if they were real people and really did raise a boy that truly changed the world, I am sure Jesus would have looked at them and said, "If you have done it for the least of these, you have done it for me." One of the things that I have seen the most sadness over in the foster care and adoptive world, and it really goes along with any type of abusive situation, is the shame. Shame that they have done something wrong. Shame that something's wrong with them for what happened to them. Shame for the life that they're living. Shame for why they are in the place that they're in. I mean, if you can even imagine just one day somebody shows up at your home and takes you as a child, police lights are blaring and social workers are there and caseworkers are using big words. If you could even imagine how your parents are acting in the situation, watching their children being taken away from them, there is no greater nightmare, no matter how professionally you do it, no matter how justified the actions are for the safety of the children. My two adopted babies still miss things from their home that they had to leave behind. They still remember toys. They still remember blankets. They still remember things that they had that they can't ever have again, and we can't get them back. And even if I go replace it, even if I go find a new one, some is irreplaceable, and it's still not the same. Shame is a robber for every one of us. And so when I realized that, even the story of Superman, that he is a superhero and he grew up to do all these right things and, save the world and live for a good cause and all of that, I thought it was so important to highlight that, even superheroes can be adopted. And it goes back to the base of every one of us. If we're truly born into the family of God, we have been adopted into a family that we by no rights were born into, that family of God. And the shame that we bring into that from our own past. I have shame when I think of, we were just talking about with my parents, the things that I said and did to them when I was a teenager, when I was a kid. I think about those scenes and I played them in my mind and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Or I'm so embarrassed. I can't believe that I acted this way, did this, lived this way. I am just mortified. And, that was my own doing. Then there's shame from relationships and things that I did. And I know we all carry regret. But I just want to challenge you today for yourself, the regrets and the shame that you might carry. I can tell you they're not God, and they are keeping you from doing the next right thing. They're like bricks and weights that you carry with you. And they yip at you. The enemy uses that. It wears you down. It reminds you of who you were. And that's the part where you have to remind him where he's headed and who you are because of the work that God has done in your life. So if I could encourage you in that today, I know for our kids, I can feel it. I can see it. There's times in our lives when I see behaviors that they have and things that they do, and with a natural eye, it's not pretty. And it looks like a tantrum, and it looks like mouthy, and it looks like Um, not pretty. But if you see past that and you see what that's trying to tell you, it's saying, I'm hurting because I remembered something. I felt something. I'm having a memory. I mean, how many of you have a smell or a word or a phrase, or you hear a commercial or a song and it takes you back to something in your life? And no matter how safe you are, no matter how far behind it is, no matter how far you've come, however forgiven you are, there's an emotion tied to that. And when it's shame and it's regret and it's grief, I mean, how do you expect a child to remember to walk through those steps? I can't hardly do that. I've got to stop. I've got to breathe. I have to address that thing because it's so fleeting, but the emotion stays. And I'm thinking to myself, where did that come from? Where is that taking me? Why do I feel that way? And I have to give myself permission to address the thing. I have to pray through that thing and be like, Lord, no, that's under the blood. That's on you. Like you took that for me, and I'm so grateful. I have to keep having that conversation in my mind until I get that breakthrough. And I thought it was so important to remind us, like even Superman had things like that. Did you ever see Lisa Bevere does a little clip on this, and you can find it on their app. It's free. Like there's like they he's struggling with things in school because he can hear everything. He's hearing the tick of the clock. He's hearing, the birds outside. He can see past everything. And I haven't seen the scene, so I'm totally paraphrasing with her. And it's overwhelming him because he's sitting in class trying to hear the teacher. And so then the teacher calls on him for the answer, and he panics because he doesn't know or he didn't hear. There's just like so much going on, and he looks stupid. And like all the kids start making fun of him, or I don't know what happens, but he runs away into the closet, locks the door. He won't come out. Teachers knocking. Kids are making fun of him. Everyone wants to know what's wrong with him. How many times have we seen that? How many times have we felt the same way on an adult level or even as a child? And so they call the mom, and the mom shows up, and either through the door, or, she knocks on the door and he lets her in, or, he's like, I can't quiet the voices. I can't silence the things. And she says to him what did she say to him? We got to watch this. Maybe we'll have a movie night. She said, quiet the voice, or you choose, you decide, you decide what's louder, you fight, you pick, you have the power. And literally she has to go on a relational level to meet him in his dark place and walk him through it, because he can't do it by himself. And it's a thankless task. You know how hard parenting is. So parent trauma, or parent your kids through hard things. That have to be trauma. It can be just whatever they struggle with, and it just happens to push your buttons, or you just happen to not have, compassion on that item. Just having the things that my kids struggle with are like the things I cannot stand the most. And so we work through that. And it deals with me. And that's the part where I'm like, Lord, you have to help me with these kids that you gave me. And if we don't walk them through it, if we don't walk with them through it, we miss that relationship opportunity, and we miss the chance to give them tools to become healthy adults, to have good lives, to become superheroes. If Superman's mom, Mrs. Kent, if she did not show up at the school, the shame, you guys, the shame. I know how many phone calls we got from school. I know my kids struggled. Thank you very much. We're doing the best we can. I don't know what else to do. Like, why don't you help me? Like you said, you could help me. The shame that comes with what these kids struggle with, and to like have the courage to knock on that door. She had to drop what she was doing. Maybe she was having coffee with a friend and she had to go into school. Maybe she was doing laundry and it was her laundry day and it's irritating. But she went ahead and did the hard thing, and she stood by her son, and she showed up for him, and she She supported a superhero. And I just want you to see every one of your kids as a potential superhero. And every one of them has a mission, even biblically. The Bible says, the plans I have for you are to prosper you and not to harm you. And yeah, we're people. We make mistakes. Tim and I will be the first ones to tell anybody who asks us for parenting advice, for adoptive, foster. That is loaded questions, because we can tell you more what not to do, what doesn't work, what is a failure, more than we can tell you what to do, because we've had to learn through trial and error. We've had to learn through our shortcomings and our failures, our own things. And so when I say that to you, it's coming from like the most humble heart. Like, yeah, parenting is hard, and it's a gift. It's a privilege. It's the hardest job you'll ever love. It requires so much sacrifice, so much availability, so much of admitting your own flaws and failures. But in that, I mean, can you imagine watching your kids grow up to become a decent human being? Somebody who's going to change the world, somebody who has compassion on other people, and they're going to raise their kids well because you did the best you could. And they have hopes and dreams and visions, and they know that you're going to be there for them. So when we can take away the stigma and the shame of what it means to be adopted, and we can say, what a gift, what a privilege. We're not denying the pain that Superman had some parents on another planet, clearly. My babies have parents, biological parents, that love them very much. And you can celebrate what adoption is without discrediting the pain and the loss and all of that. And when we acknowledge, look what the Lord has done, that's where you hit the playing field where anything is possible. Because the truth is, we live in a fallen world. We live in a broken world. There is addiction. There are broken families. There is horror and tragedy beyond what we can imagine. But in the world in front of us, we can choose to push that button and see what's inside the spaceship when that drone lands in front of us. And we can choose to look at our children when we don't feel like it and try to see them through the eyes of God and ask ourselves, what would Jesus do? He said, let the children come to me. He said, the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these. He said, if you want to enter into the kingdom, you've got to do it like a child. You have to have faith like a child. All the things that remind us that they are precious. They need to be protected. They do not understand the world around us, and it's up to us to give them that hope, to give them that vision, to give them that future. Let them know that they have an ally who's going to help them through all the hard things. And when it can't be us, you guys, I don't tell my kids like I have the answers. I remind them of all the times I've been wrong or done wrong. And I say, look, did you forgive mommy when I made a mistake? Do you still love me? Doesn't change the fact that I love you. But then I point to Jesus. He's the only one who will never fail you. He is the only one who has the right answers. You don't have to have all the right answers. You just have to teach your kids to keep going back to the Lord. You just have to teach them that He needs to be their source. Just show them that He is the answer every single time. And in His Word is the answer every single time. And when you grab a hold of that, and when you move forward in that, and when you plant that seed in them, that's how you get the superhero. If no one had ever walked him through that situation when all the noises are just overwhelming him and he can't quiet the noises, if his mother had not showed up with that still small voice and said, just focus on them. You've got to focus. Just pick one. You've got to do that. I'm going to rewatch that clip because I am just so inspired. It was just such a cool reminder that, we all have these brains and issues and all the things. And there is all one answer. There's one word. There's one God. And in that, we can find everything. It's not going to look just like you. It's not going to look just like me. Every kid is going to different. I have 7 kids, and every one of them walks a different walk, has different hopes, dreams, futures, plans, personalities. Every one of them. I have 2 sisters. Every one of us goes a different way. But I can tell you there's one solution every time. So when you don't have the words, just point to Him. When you don't know what to do, just go to Him. Show up for your kids and walk them through this, because they are superheroes. And as every one of us have a story like that. That's how we shut the shame. That's how we put those voices where they belong. Nowhere near us, nowhere near our family, nowhere near where we belong. And we teach them to silence that voice. The prayer I had then was, Father, I thank you that you do all things well and that you believe in us. I thank you that your word is simple to understand and that you are not the author of confusion. I pray that you open our eyes to see what you would have us to do in these challenging times in our lives. Maybe we don't have a space shuttle dropping a baby in our path as we head home one night, but we do want to do what we can for the least of our brethren, those that are the most vulnerable in need. And when we grow tired or weary, help us to remember that truly we are doing it for you. You won't see the superhero right now, guys. You may never. But you can remember that you did the right thing and that you have 0 regrets, and that Jesus is going to say to you, and as much as you did it to one of the least of these, you did it to me. And that's how simple it is. We don't have to judge. We don't have to scream. We don't have to pray about it, see if we feel led about it. It's already here in Scripture. No problem. It's what we're supposed to do. So I just sent out the challenge that month to write out the names of friends and family who may be facing vulnerable situations, and send them a card or a letter, a message letting them know that you're thinking of them and supporting them. If we've ever needed more kindness, more support, more encouragement, it's now. It's now. Everybody's going through hard things. Everybody's hurting. Everybody's confused. Everybody's going through things. I mean, it's just a really hard time for the world that we live in. But we can go through it together, and we can live out the gospel. His word is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So if you're hurting today, if you're discouraged today, if you're hopeless today, just remember, there are people that are raising superheroes. You are raising superheroes. You can help a mama to raise a superhero. Do you want to remember how lonely it is to be a parent? Remember how lonely it is to have kids and have to miss out on stuff and stay by this stuff? Most of the mamas that have grown kids, you didn't have Pinterest and Instagram and Facebook, and so cool to see what your friends are doing. And the internet is an amazing place. It's also hard because you see everybody else living their best life, and you're stuck with peanut butter and jelly and a sports bra and messy hair and self-sacrifice. And it's hard to visualize the superhero when you're being screamed at by a toddler who's yanking your hair and trying to remember why you wanted this child in the first place. So I want to encourage every one of you today, just keep your eyes on the prize. That's what Jesus said. If you do it to the least of these, you're doing it to me. And He's in it. He's in all of that. So shut off that social media if you have to, and just remember the truth of God's word. This is true. He says, whatever you do to the least of them, you're doing to Him. And that's better than any Pinterest idea and any Instagram story that there ever was. So just remember that, guys. I love you. I'm for you. I love chatting with you today. I will see you on Tuesday for Tuesdays with Tara. We're going to pull some more things from the store and have some more fun. So if you want to see some of the new things we've put in there, did you see we have a dress? And it's stunning. and it's $14. So I'm having so much fun finding vendors that have amazing pieces and at prices that we all can love. So take a look there if you want. I'm going to show you a few more things. If you want to see anything, let me know, and I will be glad to put all that up in with you, go over that with you, and I will see you on Tuesday. God bless you guys. Have a great day.